Oh, Mertensia virginica, Virginia bluebells. Talk about spectacular. They're out here in our woodland edge. The cardinals are singing. So many flowers are starting to flower. I just wanted to show you a small area here because this is returning the woodland plants to the woodlands. It is joyful. I mean, it's so joyful. And yes, that's a bumblebee. And there are bumblebees everywhere. All kinds of native bees here. Talk about it working. We planted, I don't know, thousands of plants here, and not just these woodland herbs, but the shrubs that I always talk about. And they are such heavy hitters in the pollination world. Well, everybody is. They have to get pollinated. I should say in the sustenance world, they're offering nectar and they're offering pollen, and at a time when it's really, really needed. And it is so cool to walk around and look at these plants and this property that's hosting so much life. The only word I can think about is astonishing. You can tell, like, I keep stumbling over my words because it's that exciting. All right, let's go right over here. This is gooseberry. Up by the house, gooseberry is flowering and the bumbles are all over it as well. This area is really starting to grow some plants. And you can see this is not an old, wonderful forest. There are some hickories in here, but there are a lot of dead ash and dying elm. But the trillium we've planted, the wild ginger, the bluebells, they are feeling reunited. The leek and the common blue violets have just come in all on their own. Oh, I have such love for them. They are so amazing. Now check this out. This is this area that we are working on. Just putting in some natives to restore them to this area. Look, twin leaf. Yes, Trillium grandiflorum on that edge there. Right there is wild ginger. Those are the ones we transplanted about a week or two ago. They're flowering. We did a really good job, obviously, taking a ton of soil so that they didn't feel that harsh transplant. Rue anemone right there. There's a bunch of leek we put in here. Look at this sedum patch. That's this. Oh, it's huge. I gotta get this sun out from behind me. It might not be possible right now. I'm too excited. May apple. There is right here. Blue cohosh coming up. Black cohosh. More twin leaf. More wild leek, cut leaf toothwort. There is trout lily right in the middle of my head. And on down the hillside, on down right through here, we've got a lot more toothwort coming in. And we've put a lot of this back, but usually just one or two individuals, whatever we could find and buy from a reputable person, somebody that's not harvesting from the wild, or seeds we could collect, or a couple of plants a friend shared with us. And what is happening is that the plants are spreading on their own. They are happy. And wow, it's like the soil knows what to do. It's like the plants know what to do. Of course they do. We're putting them where they grow in the wild. We're going out, we're observing, and then we're doing the best we can here. We don't have perfect, intact forest soils, but a lot of these have some good tolerance if they're not too wet, and if you put them on the right slope, whether they need really sunny spots, which isn't most of these that I'm showing you. So south dry facing is harder, but north facing, east, those often work really well. Northeast, come over here. I'm going to show you one more. These are two plants that weren't very happy. Oh, look at more Mayapple. They're gonna flower, y'all. You know what that means? We are gonna get more. All right, so Steve and I had some bloodroot right in here. But in these crazy rains we've had, this whole area pools up and it's still very soggy. And yesterday, we just decided to move them because we could tell, hi Leek, they were struggling. I don't think they would die, but it would depend on how long those roots stayed soggy. And I grabbed a Trillium grandiflorum as well because they were also in a very wet spot. That's the biggest tree here, pin oak. Thankfully, they're not loved for lumber. Okay, here we go. This is our woodlands. It's a very narrow strip, and it is a challenging spot. It is right next to this agricultural land, and that is west. And so it is drying in here, and Steve and I have been working for years to build up the leaf litter, and we have done that by piling sticks and boards and slab wood and everything we can get our hands on to hold the leaves in here and then start making the organic matter again. We've tucked in leeks with good success after some of this soil work, and so we thought, here's the spot. We're gonna try the bloodroot and the Trillium right here. Look at these beautiful babies. So the Trillium was in a really wet spot and the slugs had a heyday on them. Now don't get me wrong, I love slugs. They feed the firefly larvae, but they are a challenge on certain plants when they're in too wet of an environment. And so we moved that Trillium and they already are going, woohoo, thank you. And then look at the bloodroot. So many of these babies. These are the seeds that Steve collected long ago and just planted them as a whole right away. Up by the house, we have noticed there is bloodroot popping up everywhere. They have an elaiosome around the seed that ants love. It's really good food for them, so they'll tuck it into their little ant nest and then spread the bloodroot around. It's a really cool mechanism. It's just ecology, the connections, the interactions. It's beautiful to witness. And we are seeing it everywhere. So that saying I've said sometimes here, what you see is what you get. It's happening in our sun-loving plants like bergamot. It's coming up everywhere. Monarda fistulosa, it's in our driveways, it's in the grass, it's everywhere. Way cool. And then now we're getting that with some of these woodland wildflowers that have a really long lifespan, but also have a long period before they're flowering and before they fruit. I mean, Trillium, it can be 7 years, 10 years. The fact that these are flowering here means that they're going to likely put on seed, and then they'll start moving around and repopulating, making more. And I think this area now has enough ability to grow plants that they're going to be able to survive well. And the other cool thing I forgot to say, right in this area, there are sugar maples above us. And apparently, from everybody that knows more than me about these plants, sugar maples are very high in calcium, and it is loved by these plants. See, another relationship, total fascination. I love these woodland wildflowers. I'm totally obsessed. So is Steve. The fact that we're having some success is remarkable. There will be much more on this in the future. But get outside wherever you are. This time of year is magnificent.